What's going on, everybody? We're going to be talking about habit building for your instrument today. I personally play guitar, piano. I also do mixing music. I also compose music. So I have 4 subjects right there that I have to build habits back into from the new year. So, excuse me, let's go ahead and have a conversation about it. First of all, guys, I'm going to be leaving this in the description as far as a timeline so you can skip around after you watch this video, so you can always come back and rehear parts you may need. The first thing we want to talk about is habit building is not linear. It's not a straight line. It doesn't work the same way for everyone. If you just had a kid, your practice schedules may be all over the place. Maybe you started a new job. I have a student that started a new job and he got a little rocky for a bit. It looks different for everyone, but the thing we want to have is consistency. So for rule number 1, on week 1, what I like to do when I'm coming back into music is I just like to have fun. What does that mean? If I want to play my instrument, I do. There's a little asterisk next to that. I normally play Monday through Friday. So when I say first week back, I just have fun. I will sit with my instrument Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But I do not put a amount of time of how much I practice that instrument for the day. If I pick up I usually play piano first. So if I want to play piano for 30 minutes because I found something interesting to do on it, then I will. But sometimes I'll come back on my first Monday back from the new year and I only touch it for 5 minutes and I am done. Okay, then I'm done. And if I don't feel like doing the other instruments, I don't. But usually that doesn't happen because I will choose everything and anything I want to do. It may be a song I wanted to learn. It may be a scale I've been curious about. It may be a chord progression. But I will choose something that interests me and I will look up videos, I'll look up things on it, or I'll ear train with it or whatever. And before I know it, 30 minutes went by. And you know what? Maybe in those 30 minutes, because I normally practice per instrument 2 hours, maybe I don't want to do 2 hours that day on that instrument. I will not hold myself accountable to 2 hours in the first week because, once again, rule number 1, I am just there to have fun. So if I play my piano for 30 minutes and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like touching my other instruments Monday, I won't. But Tuesday, I may come back and from Monday to Tuesday, I might realize like, hey, you know what? I wanted to also work on this guitar lick I heard last year or whenever it may have been. So what I do is I also start to develop a piece of paper. Any ideas, anything that may have popped into my head from Monday to Tuesday, I'll write down. Like, I've always wanted to learn this song. I've always wanted to learn this chord progression, whatever. And I'll do that from Monday through Friday the first week. And by I get to Friday, I'm already practicing my instrument. So let me explain what I do normally. I usually do 1 to 2 hours guitar, 1 to 2 hours piano, 2 to 4 hours mixing music, and then another, it could be any amount of time as composing music. It could be 1 to 8 hours a day of composing music because that's what I do. And I enjoy it so much that I just kind of get pulled into it. But the thing is I don't, once again, I don't hold myself accountable to minutes the first week, but I do hold myself to, if my mind is curious about something, I'll start to explore. So from week 1 and going into week 2, the things that do change is in week 1, I wrote down and I started working on things that may have interested me, or I started carving out things that interested me by putting on my piece of paper. By week 2, I am starting to gain more momentum and starting to hold myself accountable to minutes. So like I said, for me, per instrument, I'm usually practicing anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, depending. Let's say piano. Piano is usually 2 hours regardless. So in 2 hours, I cover 4 subjects. Let's say it's a song for 30 minutes, scales for 30 minutes, chord progressions for 30 minutes, and whatever new techniques or whatever may be, you know, something I've never done or whatever for 30 minutes. So with that being said, I'm carved out, okay, what song am I learning? What scales am I learning? What this and what that, all for 30 minutes. So I'm writing them out. And then I am getting a better idea of how I'm carving for the weeks and months to come for that instrument. By the end of week 2, going into week 3, we now hit what was working, what was not. That's where I'm going with this. So like I said, for week 2, I've already built my habits from week 1. I'm like, okay, I had fun. I started sitting with my instrument Monday through Friday. By week 2, I am now working on my instrument, my regular amount of minutes, which is 2 hours usually each. But at the end of week 2, I am now looking at what worked, what didn't. What I mean by that is, well, in this subject for piano, was 30 minutes enough or do I need more time? It's usually not less time, but usually more time. But let's just say that. So does that mean I need to work on an actual idea or a subject for 45 minutes and minimize the other one or get rid of it? Or do I need to work on something less to make more time for the other thing, whatever. But the point is also, am I sitting and practicing for 2 hours? Did that work? Did my time schedule work? You know, usually people are creatures of habit. So you'll sit with your instrument for at the same day, same time per week. So Monday you'll do 6 p.m. Tuesday, let's say you always do 7. By the next week you roll around, did you do 6 p.m. Monday again and then Tuesday 7 p.m.? Or did you like, oh, you know what, I kind of don't want to practice right now. If that's the problem, that's what I'm talking about. What's working, what's not. You know what I mean? Because by the start of week 3, you're getting a good idea of what your routine's going to look like again. So same thing with the end of week 3. You want to look at the end of what worked in week 2 to the end of week 3 and start comparing stuff, okay? Because that's going to lead us into this next conversation. Before we move on, though, I should also mention it's good by this point to have a calendar or hold yourself accountable to something with some way. I have a student that's using an app tracker. You know, she tracks herself as how much she's practicing per day, per week. And then I'm assuming at the end it shows you all your progress. But I'm more old school. I like to get a notebook. I write down on my subjects, my subcategories of the subjects, what I'm working on, and I check mark it every day. Next page, next date, write them all out. Piano, guitar, mixing music, composing, check, 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 check. Go to the subcategories. Did I work on scales? Did I work on that song I was talking about? Did I work on whatever? Check, 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 check. You start to get a clearer picture by tracking and holding yourself accountable to these habits. Because we as people are creatures of habit, right? I believe I've said that already today. The thing we are also creatures of is not wanting to do things too. And I am part of that. Sometimes I don't play 2 hours a day. And that leads me into the next subject of your mind can play tricks on you and you can be lazy. You know, while you're practicing, if your phone goes off, you may count that as practice for 5 minutes that you didn't do. You know, the thing about your mind is we as people tend to not want to go against the grain. So your mind may count that as practice, and every time you pick up your guitar or whatever, every time it rings, you may put your instrument down and like, oh, 30 minutes went by, I got to go. I practiced, I picked up my guitar. That's not really practice, you know. The subconscious also doesn't always want to practice. I know mine doesn't. I'll wake up and I'm like, dude, I got to practice again today. And I do that Monday through Friday, you know, and I have to kind of psych myself into it sometimes. So when you're building into habit, the whole idea of why we started fun 1 week, starting to track carve out things that we want to work on the second week. By the end of second week and third week, we're starting to see what's working and what's not and starting to fix things and figure out what our schedule looks like. By the week 4, maybe mid-week 3, we're starting to see possibly where we're resisting progress. And that's what I'm talking about, your subconscious, because we don't always want to practice, guys, and that's okay. That's fine. But we still need to find solutions to practice. So let's have a conversation about that. Being honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. If you're on your phone, most of the time, you're not practicing. You know, if you're looking at your phone every time it goes off, and I have done this myself. If you're looking at your phone every time it goes off, you're distracted. You know, you got to find your solutions for that. It's either putting it on mute. I know iPhones have those things where you could shut them off for a certain amount of hours, but putting your phone in a different room, maybe if you have a kid, maybe having your wife or your husband taking care of the kid for 30 minutes so you could get your practice. Maybe doing it by waking up earlier than the other individuals in your house to practice. That helps. I remember I had to leave out of town because someone passed away. And so I normally practice 4 hours, and I was doing it like, I think it was at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then we had to leave all of a sudden. So I practiced from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then we left on one day. So I still got my practice in. But being honest with yourself, guys, is a hard conversation. We tend to, and including myself, we tend to lie to ourselves about things naturally. You know, like, oh, you know what? I'll get it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and I'll get it tomorrow. And then I do that a lot sometimes, depending if it's not my instruments, if it's other things in the household, like I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes like, I'll do it tomorrow. But by having honest conversations with yourself, that can help save us some time. And you may even log like, hey, I had an honest conversation with myself today on this day. And then tomorrow comes, if you have that same feeling like you don't want to do it, well, it's tracked. You have it tracked like, hey, you know what? I've already had this conversation. Maybe there's something deeper here, you know? I want you to understand also that failure is a part of progress. If you're not failing, you're not getting better. Practice is meant to sound like shit because you're learning. If it was sounding perfect, then you should be out there performing it, you know? We're here to learn. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to, sometimes your 30-minute subject, you may not get anything done in a day because you hit a ceiling, or maybe you had a question you had to look up and it ate up all your time or something, but you're still there, you're still working towards it, you know? But failure is a big part of learning. And you got to understand that if you're failing, you're going to also start to blossom over time, which also leads us into frustration. Frustration is a normal thing, guys. I've been playing for 28 years. I've been teaching for 20. I am still learning how to keep my frustration under control in certain situations with music, because it does build up over time by practicing your instrument. Frustration tends to build. Frustration tends to build. But the thing you want to understand is, if you could take frustration out of the equation, it takes this veil, this mask, and lifts up a burden over you, because you're like, right when you start to feel frustrated with your instrument, you realize like, hey, I'm human. That's normal. I'm pushing this ball up a big hill every day with this practice, and I feel like I'm getting nowhere. But in the end, you will get it. I don't know how long. I'll make a video on that, but I've practiced things sometimes for the better part of a year, and I'm barely getting the idea of how to do them because I've needed to develop the structure or the feel or the technique or whatever. Once again, a year, guys, on certain things. So the quicker you can take frustration out of the equation, the better you'll be, and you won't have that veil over you of, I am frustrated and I don't want to practice. Instead, you'll just learn to eventually let it go. And like I said, guys, that one took me forever. It took me decades to finally understand, like, you know what? Once I take practice out of the equation, I'm like, I'll get it tomorrow. I suck today, but I'm coming after it tomorrow. I sucked again today, I'm coming after it the next day. Maybe I need to change my approach. Maybe I need to work on my timing. Maybe the boom, boom, boom. Eventually you'll get it. But with frustration, guys, the quicker you take it out of the equation, the better. And I'll reiterate this way. Don't focus on your shortcomings. Practice is meant to sound bad. Learn from your practicing, guys. You know, once you do it 5 days in a row, if you're approaching it the same way and you're not getting better, you may just need more time. Maybe it is your approach. Maybe you should practice it from a different angle. But just understanding, don't focus on the bad. Focus on the good. Maybe you came back and you had that chord sound better, but the rest of the song didn't. But you got that chord and it sounded better, and that's what you want to focus on is, I am getting better. It just takes a long time, and that is normal. And the last thing, if you've built all these habits up and you've realized that the frustration and you're able to let it go and you still don't want to practice, you got to be honest with yourself about that, because if you're not practicing, there's a reason, you know? Maybe it is something in your household. Maybe you don't want to play the instrument because you lost interest in it. Maybe because whatever the reason may be. Maybe because you just hate practicing. There are people out there that don't practice that do sound good already naturally. I am not one of them. But if you don't want to practice, you got to have a conversation with yourself about that and start to figure out why. And I'll make another video on that. I hope that helped you guys. And if you need anything, you can reach out to me. I'm going to leave my Details in the description box below. But thank you for having this conversation with me. And if you need anything, just reach out. Have a good one.